hear about your ass. Please understand that about the way I love you, Mom.
Large blast is in the structure you understand what I mean. And I know it will be a ton of hateration holleration in this dance Surrey Blue I was having illicit relationship with Marshall. Okay, Steve, you saying Steve Harvey knew there could be no more interesting to stunning outrages except for late. Murmurs encompassing Steve Harvey's own life have sent shockwaves all through media outlets at the core. All things considered, a name many didn't see coming, William Huge Blast Freeman, a nearby partner at and guardian of Steve Harvey as of late, gave a meeting wherein he expressed that he has had a heartfelt connection with Marjorie for north of 20 years. Shock, that is the word, kindly welcome the chick of my fantasies, my significant other Marjorie, unfamiliar for my security. I will say purportedly. Yet, in the event that this man don't say supposedly and he comes clean, you can't get me frantic at me, Stephen. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Secret Life Station in a meeting scrap shared across numerous use stages. Enormous Blast genuine name William Huge Blast Freeman straightforwardly affirmed his close connection with Marjorie Harvey, yet the interest doesn't stop there. Enormous Blast disclosed that he was sincerely associated with Marjorie well before she became Mrs. Steve Harvey. This wasn't a brief undertaking. This was a relationship that originated before her union with the popular jokester and host for quite a long time, and on the off chance that the disclosures weren't lascivious enough, Hugh G. Blast proceeded to drop one more bomb. Steve, in opposition to what many could accept, has been conscious of this mystery starting from the commencement of his relationship with Marjorie. The relational intricacies took a considerably more sensational turn with the declaration that Lori Harvey, Marjorie's little girl who stood out as truly newsworthy of her own, is Huge Blast's natural kid. Yes, well, I don't have the foggiest idea how I'm doing. Harvey's dad, you are. Lori Harvey's dad, good gracious. The web in its exemplary design emitted Twitter strings, went crazy. Instagram stories were alight with image responses, and moderators mixed to cover the news. Fans voiced their mistrust, superstars shared their shock, and some even communicated sympathy for Steve Harvey. A predominant opinion arose, scrutinizing the legitimacy of Marjorie's goals in her union with Steve, a well-established hypothesis that Marjorie was in the relationship more for monetary security than affection appeared to build up decent momentum. The way that Steve apparently focused on Lori Harvey and media outlets over his own natural kids fanned the shoot. The Large Blast is Lori Harvey's dad. Wow, high, as though the generally dangerous disclosures weren't sufficient to satisfy the consistently inquisitive public. Large Blast has prodded an impending live meeting, a profound plunge into the whole story. The commencement starts, and the world holds up with teased breath to hear more from the man at the focal point. All things considered, the entwining lives of Steve, Marjorie, and Enormous Blast paint a perplexing embroidery of adoration, disloyalty, and Hollywood charm. To really comprehend the flow embarrassment, we want to dig into their past, which is loaded up with murmurs, unquestionable realities, and game-changing occasions. Gracious, wow, man, you're an incredible player, man. Like, since you listen, everyone is somewhat rooting for you, Large Blast, as we don't put stock during the 90s. Steve Harvey was becoming well known for his stand-up satire to The Steve Harvey Show. He was laying out his comedic domain. Around a similar time, photos surfaced of him hitting the dance floor with Marjorie at a high-profile occasion in Atlanta. Steve's own words in his book, Carry On Like a Woman, adopt the thought process of a man resound. Here, each man and has an arrangement was his underlying association with Marjorie, part of a greater picture anyway. By the last part of the 90s, the pair allegedly split. It was during this period, driving into the mid-2000s, that tales started whirling about Marjorie's conceivable relationship with Enormous Blast, albeit no photos or substantial proof from this period have arisen. Sightings of them at first-class occasions, from tropical escapes to races at the Monaco Fabulous Pricks Power tattle sections, they generally appear to be in nearness regardless of whether or not straightforwardly connected. Steve's expert climb, then again, was completely brilliant. By the mid-2000s, he was wherever facilitating family quarrel, delivering top-rated books, and making his picture as a relationship master. His prevalence took off with the arrival of his book, wherein he expressed there could be no more genuine proclamation. Men are basic might this, at any point, have been an unobtrusive indicate the entanglement in his own life, to the extent that when Steve and I got together, He had an entire nother thought of what he was anticipating doing after his separation. 2005 was the year everything changed. Steve and Marjorie revived their sentiment. This gathering shocked many, particularly given the murmurs regarding Marjorie's supposed past with enormous blast. The compromise was set in the public eye during a 2005 embodiment live performance, where Steve proclaimed, "Marjorie is my beginning and end." While Steve and Marjorie's romantic tale appeared to be in the groove again, there was a propensity of pressure thanks to huge blast's ceaseless approaching presence. Hollywood's insiders were confounded when Steve employed large blast as his protector, a choice that caused a commotion, considering the reputed past in light of the fact that Marjorie Harvey and Steve Harvey are denying it. An enormous blast purportedly said he's still enamored, lined up with their advancing relationship. Marjorie's fortunes to saw a transient ascent throughout the long term. She's difficult, changed from a marvelous design fan to a real magnate, and a lot of this abundance came in a roundabout way through her relationship with Steve. Murmurs in select Hollywood circles would have it Marjorie entered the extravagance housing market, gaining a series of properties across the U.S., eminently in upscale Beverly Slopes and Atlanta's lofty Buckhead locale. By 2018, hypotheses mounted that she was one of the vital, quiet accomplices behind the extravagant elegance townhouse improvement in Miami. This appeared to be lined up with Steve's own endeavors. In one of his meetings with Forbes, he once referenced about expanding one's revenue streams, underlining land as a savvy speculation. A past land Marjorie sent off her own design image. Woman loves culture, taking special care of tip-to-P customers. The brand earned consideration for its dazzling plans and turned into a customary installation at very good quality style weeks. Given her faultless style, it was anything but a surprise when she teamed up with significant style houses for restricted version assortments. A release monetary report in 2020 assessed the brand's valuation at around $12 million. Presents to drift in overflow on Marjorie's 50th birthday celebration. She was gifted a Rolls-Royce. Being a fan, a vehicle with a kicking-off cost of more than $500,000. That wasn't the main lavish present for their commemoration. Steve apparently surprised Marjorie with a rambling yacht suitably named Woman Love, thinking of her as different portfolio from extravagance land to molded ventures joined with high-profile joint efforts and excessive presence. Monetary examiners gauge Marjorie's total assets to be nearby $50 million. Yet Marjorie isn't the one in particular who has progressed her image thanks to Steve's endeavors. As years advanced, Lori Harvey's profession took not entirely okay. While without a doubt capable mumbles in the business connected her quick rising to the interweaved connections of this threesome, some conjecture that Marjorie's impact could play had a critical influence in Lori's Hollywood process. As perhaps of the most gorgeous and pursued model on the planet, she orders consideration any place she goes. "I love this young lady, best thing for me. Now we going to work. Currently, we will make an air of affection and everyone's welcomed into it right anyway." The new disclosures have sent shockwaves through the diversion world, with large blast confirmation of his past with Marjorie and the stunner. In regards to Lori's paternity, old occasions are being rethought, with new focal points. Steve's 2010 meeting with Oprah, where he commented, "Life is 10 what befalls you and 90% how you respond to it," takes on a chilling reverberation. Now the heaviness of these presently hauls one into the domain of theory. Might it at any point be conceivable that Steve, in spite of his outward moxie and shrewdness, was entrapped in a tangled plan plotted by the two individuals nearest to him, taking a gander at the fleeting ascent of Marjorie's riches and heights since she revived her sentiment with Steve in 2005? It's hard to excuse the declaration that she might have had ulterior monetary thought processes. The broad properties, the prospering style line, the lavish gifts, every one of these were just conceivable with Steve's huge monetary sponsorship. Yet, assuming that it was simply Marjorie utilizing her conjugal impact, one could name it as advantage anyway. The association of large blast arranges a hazier, more misleading picture. The sheer daringness of such a plan would be remarkable. It sets a situation where in two people equipped with the information on one another, mysterious contacts and shared history, organize a long con to siphon riches and influence from an apparently neglectful man. To the whole act, while the proof is as yet fortuitous, the heap of happenstances and the consistent stream of new Disclosures keeps the gossip factories stirring. As the layers strip back, one can't resist the urge to ponder: is Steve Harvey, the relationship master and independent tycoon, a definitive casualty in Quit? Possibly of Hollywood's most unpredictable outrage, and we should not disregard one more legend in our story. Lori Harvey, once known for her lucky way of life and blooming vocation, presently winds up in the focal point of a tempest that could have critical repercussions on both her own and proficient fronts. Assuming that the paternity disclosures turn out as expected, it could rethink her relationship elements, particularly with Steve, who assumed a great part in impelling her into the spotlight. Yeah. Who are the award? Don't give yourself to any. Additionally, her relationship in the business may be stressed, as many brands and colleagues